Odds a strike away. Here's the pitch from Miller. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Slider in the dirt. Picked up by Fermin. The throw to first is in time. Pods have their first win of the season. Craig Stammen has his first win as a major league manager. And how about a 2-hit shutout from Vasquez, Hart, and Miller here tonight. 3-0 over the Tigers.
Padres pick up their first win of 2026, a 3-0 victory against the Tigers as the Padres salvage the finale of this 3-game series, and the Padres improve to 1-2 on this very young 2026 campaign. Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show here on the Padres Radio Network on this Saturday evening. Sam Levitt with you from inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. We have a fireworks show going on right now here at Petco Park, so everybody's still in their seats enjoying all the beautiful colors of the fireworks show above the field, and it is beautiful indeed here in downtown San Diego. So everybody having a good time. A Padres win, a fireworks show, and the Padres really behind just tremendous pitching here tonight. Randy Vasquez, 6 shutout innings. Kyle Hart, 2 scoreless innings out of the pen, and Mason Miller picking up his first save of the season with the scoreless 9th inning. A combined 2-hit shutout. Padres got enough offense, good performances up and down the lineup here tonight. And again, the story was the pitching with how good Randy Vasquez was. And in a close game, and we said it pregame, Padres might be a little bit short in their bullpen tonight. Well, Kyle Hart, very, very good, very encouraging from him. And then Mason Miller getting it done. With a nice intro into the ball game. First time we've seen that here at Petco Park this season, and Mason Miller shutting the door on this 3-0 win. Ramon Laureano, a really nice first series of the season. He's hitting .417 after 3 games. He had 3 hits here tonight, spraying the ball all over the field. Ramon picking up right where he left off from 2025. I caught up with Laureano on the field right after tonight's win.
Ramon, you were productive offensively throughout this series. What have been the early keys for you at the plate?
See it, hit it, and that's it. I feel really good right now, and hopefully I can keep it rolling.
Much like we saw last year, you continue to go to right field. Is that an emphasis for you early in the year?
Sure, but it just happens naturally. I don't think about it, and I'm just happy that it happened.
After the trade last year, you spoke a lot about how nice it was to play in San Diego here at Petco Park. You look around, 3 sold-out crowds in 3 games. What is it like playing in this environment this early in the season?
Oh, it's awesome. It's a good warm-up for the playoff in October. Not only that, but you feel very energetic every single night here, thanks to them.
Let's talk about one of your teammates, Randy Vasquez. Terrific tonight, 6 scoreless innings. From your perspective, what does Randy do well?
Just pitching for contact, but also pitching for strikeout when he needs to, and he has it. He has all the tools, and it's up to him.
Finally, defensively, the defense tonight was outstanding. What do you feel like the potential of this group is defensively this year?
We got to want it. We got to want every single ball hit to us, and that's what we did tonight.
Ramon, great job tonight. Great series. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Now, Ramon Laureano, a very productive series, 3 hits here tonight. And as I said, the defense for the Padres tonight was stellar. This was a game tonight, not so much about the offense. It wasn't an unbelievable offensive outburst, but the pitching and defense tonight for the Padres was simply terrific. And when you have their quality of bullpen, I know last night didn't go the way they wanted, but when you have that type of bullpen, you pitch and you play defense the way the Padres did tonight, you're going to win a lot of games. This would seem to be part of the typical formula for the Padres to win games here in early 2026, and they did that here tonight. Pitching outstanding, defense outstanding, offense did enough, and the Padres pick up their first win of the year. When we come back, we have all the radio highlights for you, recap this game from start to finish. Plus, coming up a little bit later, we hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We're just getting started on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. The fireworks blasting away here at Petco Park. A party on a Saturday night, first Saturday night of the 2026 season. Come back with us right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Woodsy.
Jamul Casino Resort, Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Final score here tonight, the Padres 3 and the Tigers nothing as the Padres pick up their first win of 2026. I have two fans here with me. They wanted a shout out. They're going to get a shout out. Although I got to be honest with you, one of them is wearing a Mariners hat. I said, what's the deal with that? But maybe this will help convert her into a Padres fan. We'll get the right cap on her. Elisa and Christy, shout out to you. Hope you had a good time at the game, seeing the Padres win. Yeah, shout out to you two as well. And all right, yeah. All right, nice seeing you. There you go. I didn't lie, right? Okay, there's your shout out. But next time, Padres hat. Only time I do this in a non-Padres hat. All right. All right. That's what the deal is here tonight. We're having fun. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen coming up in just a little bit here on the Padres Radio Network. Stay tuned for that. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup here tonight, Randy Vasquez for the Padres, Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Tigers, both right-handers tossing two scoreless innings to begin the night. Vasquez pitched a 1-2-3 top of the third. He struck out 5 in the first 3 innings. Randy really good early on. In the bottom half of the inning, Flaherty got the first 2 outs, but then the Padres mounted a 2-out rally. Freddie Fermin hit a 2-out single. Jake Cronenworth did the same. That set things up for Fernando Tatis Jr.
Pitch on the way. Fernando reaches for it, lines it into right field and a base hit. Fermin is being waved around third. He's on his way. The throw comes into short and an RBI single for Fernando Tatis Jr. 3 straight 2-out hits, and the Padres lead it 1-0.
So Tatis was on first base. Cronenworth went to third base. Manny Machado at the plate when this happened.
Here's the 2-1. Fernando runs, pitches a strike. The throw to second base goes into center field. Cronenworth will come in to score, and the Padres lead it 2-0.
Stolen base and a throwing error made it 2-0 San Diego. Padres had that 2-0 lead after 3 innings. From that point on, the story became Randy Vasquez in this game. He worked around a leadoff walk in the 4th inning. He struck out 2 more in a 1-2-3 top of the 5th inning. 5 scoreless innings for Randy tonight. He struck out 8. Padres loaded the bases against Flaherty in the bottom of the 5th inning after he walked 3 consecutive batters. Jackson Merrill grounded into a fielder's choice against Tigers reliever Brant Herter. That brought home a run, RBI for Merrill, and the Padres had a 3-0 lead. Vasquez then got the first 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning, but then the Tigers threatened. Colt Keith singled. Riley Green drew a walk. Vasquez got Spencer Torkelson to ground into a fielder's choice. The inning was over. 6 scoreless innings tonight for Randy Vasquez in his season debut. 2 hits given up. He struck out 8, walked 3 on 91 pitches. Randy was terrific, and he left the game in line for the win. From that point on, it became about the Padres bullpen. Kyle Hart putting together a 1-2-3 7th inning. He struck out 2. Hart then putting together a scoreless 8th inning. So we went to the top of the 9th inning. Padres still leading 3-0, and our first opportunity to see Mason Miller here in 2026. Miller struck out Colt Keith for out number 1. He got Riley Green to fly out to left field for out number 2. He then walked Spencer Torkelson. So all of a sudden, the tying run on deck. The game left up to the Tigers' Kevin McGonigal.
Odds a strike away. Here's the pitch from Miller. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Slider in the dirt. Picked up by Fermin. The throw to first is in time. Pods have their first win of the season. Craig Stammen has his first win as a major league manager. And how about a 2-hit shutout from Vasquez, Hart, and Miller here tonight? 3-0 over the Tigers.
And a big congratulations to Craig Stammen, his first win as a major league manager. As Jesse said, a great accomplishment for Craig and his family, and the Padres win it here tonight 3-0. Like Jesse alluded to, a 2-hit shutout, 6 from Vasquez, 2 scoreless innings from Hart, and then 1 scoreless inning in the 9th from Mason Miller. Final totals here tonight for the Tigers: no runs, 2 hits, 1 error. For the Padres, 3 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. The winning pitcher tonight, Randy Vasquez, who was great. We'll talk plenty more about him. He improves to 1-0. Jack Flaherty takes the loss. He's now 0-1. And aside from what you see in the box score here tonight, I'll tell you, the Padres defense was just great in this game. I mean, a number of plays throughout the ball game that were really flashy, really well done, solid defensive game and a tight ball game for the Padres tonight. And as I said in the opening segment, pitching and defense, you do what they did from a pitching standpoint, you do what they did from a defensive standpoint tonight, and you're going to win a lot of games if you play like that, even with only 3 runs offensively, and the Padres get a 3-0 win. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen, plus we'll have our daily awards coming up a little bit later. If you want to get a phone call in, number to call is always 833-288-0973. Again, the phone number is always 833-288-0973. Final score here tonight, Padres 3, Tigers 0. Our postgame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight, the Padres 3 and the Tigers 0 as the Padres salvage the finale of this 3-game series. Padres get their first victory of 2026. Now they'll enjoy a very rare Sunday off day tomorrow, and then welcome in the San Francisco Giants for a 3-game series Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but they'll head into the off day tomorrow with a smile on their faces after a very crisp and clean and well-pitched and well-defended 3-0 win here tonight. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, with a top 100 spa, an epic rooftop pool, and luxe hotel suites, Jamul Casino Resort is the mini vacay you need. The Players Place. Well, before we hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen, he's finishing up talking downstairs. We'll get that to you once he wraps up his post-game conversation with the media. Do want to touch on a couple of aspects of this game here tonight. Let's begin with Randy Vasquez, who was just great tonight. You look at his outing. Let's start in the first inning. That first inning was so reminiscent of so much of what Randy's career as a Padre has been, right? He allows a one-out walk, then a double. He's in major trouble, but he finds his way out of it, gets a fielder's choice. Nice play by Jake Cronenworth, gets an out at home to prevent a run from scoring. And then it was the strikeout of Torkelson to end the inning, and it went from 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out to Randy Vasquez getting out of the inning. And that is what he has done so well for so long now. When he gets in trouble, he just somehow, some way finds his way out of it. And Randy did that in the first inning here tonight. Yes, Cy, nice to see you. All right, fans having a good time here inside the loft. All right, so Randy gets out of the first inning here tonight, gets out of trouble. But here's the thing. From that point on, you look at the second, third, fourth, and fifth. He retired all but one batter. He walked the leadoff man in the fourth inning. But Randy settled down in a major way, gets through 5 scoreless innings. Then in the 6th inning, gets the first 2 outs of the 6th inning, allows a 2-out single, a 2-out walk, but gets a fielder's choice, gets the ground ball he needed to get out of that 6th inning. And you look up, all of a sudden, it's 6 scoreless innings, just 2 hits given up, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. I mean, what more could you have asked for from Randy Vasquez tonight? He was terrific, 91 pitches, 59 for strikes. And I think for Randy to have this type of outing in this year in particular, it felt really big. There's been a lot of faith in Randy throughout spring training, going back to last season. A lot of, faith is not the right word. Well, it is the right word, but not the way I used it. I'll say optimism about what Randy could be this season and what Randy is turning into. You could tell in spring training the Padres were very high on how Randy finished last year and what he could be this season. And if tonight was any indication, it's another step forward for Randy Vasquez. He's got a long way to go. It's 1 start. I don't want to get crazy, but this was as good of a start as you could have hoped for Randy Vasquez. Absolutely. And again, working out of trouble early. That was kind of the classic Randy V, but then settles in a major way and finds his way through 6 scoreless innings. Nice to see you. Have a good time tonight. All right. So much fun. Great. Okay. I think they want you to go. Okay. See, we're having fun here inside the loft. Oh, my goodness. If you listen to me after these, Friday, Saturday night games, we get, lots of visits here to the set inside the loft. But Randy Vasquez was great here tonight. 6 scoreless innings. I hope the fan interactions are part of the fun here on the postgame. I really do. Randy, great tonight. 6 scoreless innings again. And, in command, really, aside from that first inning late in the 6th inning, did everything you wanted him to do. I'll give you one other note before we hear from Craig Stammen, and that was Jake Cronenworth hitting a leadoff for the first time since 2023. You thought this was a possibility coming out of spring training, that Jake would hit leadoff against right-handers. Padres facing a right-hander for the first time here tonight, and wouldn't you know it, Jake is in the leadoff spot. And you felt, based on what Craig Stammen did in spring training, you genuinely felt like this was a possibility. So it was no surprise to see him there tonight, and Jake did a really nice job. Had a hit, had a walk, had 2 runs scored, and by the way, he had a line out in the 6th inning. He worked an 11-pitch at bat. It was a great turn at bat, and he hit the ball hard. It was just right at the shortstop McGonigal. But I loved what Jake Cronenworth did in the leadoff spot tonight. Again, it seemed that way in spring training, that it was going to be a real possibility that he would hit leadoff against right-handers, and he was there tonight, and I liked it a lot. I really liked it. I'd almost be surprised if you don't see it again next time the Padres are going up against a right-hander. I thought he was great tonight in that spot, and when Jake is batting leadoff, it allows you to move Fernando Tatis Jr. down in the lineup a little bit. And we saw the dividends of that here tonight. 3rd inning, 2 on, 2 out, and Fernando comes up with a big RBI single to put the Padres up 1-0. So you saw the effect of Cronenworth getting on base in front of him, moving a runner into scoring position, and then Tatis delivering an RBI hit. To me, that's exactly how you drew it up if Cronenworth was going to bat first and Fernando was behind him. So it worked tonight, and I'm very interested to see. We know Craig's going to be malleable with the lineup. We've kind of understood that going back to spring training. But personally, I like Cronenworth at the top. He did a good job tonight, set up Tatis behind him. We'll see if it continues, but a formula that I think in a lot of respects worked here tonight in this 3-0 win. Pitching the story, defense the story, lineup the story. Let's hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen after his first managerial win.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, congratulations on the first one. How does it feel to get this first win out of the way for you as manager and for the team?
Yeah, feels good. A little easier going in the off day with the win.
In regards to Randy Vasquez and his start tonight, how did he set the tone for you guys with the 6 scoreless innings he was able to go?
Yeah, needed a big start out of him, after the first 2 games, and he came in and he delivered. One of the best games Randy's probably pitched for the Padres. Attacked the zone really well, used his fastball, used his breaking stuff. Had it all under control today. I think 8 strikeouts. It was a really good outing for Randy.
Obviously the velo, which helps him finish some guys off, get some more swing and miss. But what's the other growth you've seen out of Randy?
Yeah, I think it's just trust in his pitches and trust in the zone. I think, we saw from Randy a little bit of not that he didn't trust his pitches, but just kind of pitching around the zone. And I think what we're seeing now is him attacking hitters, not being afraid and knowing that he's got good stuff and that he can go deep into games and be a force for us.
What does this version of Kyle Hart do for you? He's probably pitching as well as you guys have seen him, and to be able to give you what he gave you tonight.
Yeah, that was amazing. To be able to pitch the 7th and the 8th, we kind of held him back, in game 1 when the game got out of hand a little bit. We kind of held him for, an opportunity where he could get through the lineup of, maybe one full time with all their lefties. And he did that today, and it made it look easy. Really good fastball tonight and a really good changeup that he splitter kind of thing that had a lot of depth on it. So it neutralized the lefties and the righties, which, in the past he's been really good against lefties, and now he's got a weapon against righties also. So, to have a guy like that who you could say is started the season as your 7th, 8th guy in the bullpen to be able to come in and do things like that, that's pretty great. So it just speaks to the depth that we have in our organization and in our bullpen.
You've obviously won a few ABS challenges already, but more specifically after 3 games, what have you thought of the just general strategy you guys have employed in terms of when you've been using it and how you've been able to use those in some key spots? Yeah,
we've done a lot better since the regular season started than what we were doing in spring training. And, part of that is the guys locking in and understanding the parameters that we put in front of us, for the ABS and our strategy with it. And then our catchers have been really good at it. Campy last night and Freddie a couple today. So it's worked out really well for us and in our favor so far. Hopefully it keeps going that way.
I'm wondering from your role the last couple seasons, how you got to know Randy. What was the last couple of years like getting to know who he was as a pitcher and as a person, and kind of how you've seen him grow in that time? Yeah, I think at the beginning was, the first offseason I spent with the organization was the winter meetings, us trying to figure out who we were going to trade for Juan Soto, and Randy's name was one of those guys. So, doing a deep dive on, his pitch mix and what type of pitcher he is and what pitcher he could be going in the future. So I think when we got him, we felt like he was pretty raw and that he had room for improvement. And, we've put him in opportunities to have success in the big leagues and maybe struggled at the beginning, but, kept giving him opportunities. And, he's taken advantage of those, and he's been poured into from a lot of people in the organization, and he's listened to it. He's been open to coaching and learning. And I think we're seeing the fruition of just the process of, what our pitching department does when they get somebody in the organization. And then if you give them time to develop somebody into who he is now. And I think a lot of credit goes to our pitching department, and a lot of credit, probably more credit, goes to Randy, him personally deciding this is what I want to do, and I want to be great at it, and then doing things in his own life to do that. So, this offseason, he was I'm waking up at 6 a.m, and working out and getting my workout in. And by the time I'm done, Darvish is calling me because he hasn't woken up yet, that kind of stuff. So Randy's put in the work, and,
the hard work has paid off for him.
Ramon Laureano hit the home run on opening day, had the go-ahead RBI yesterday, 3 hits today. What are you seeing from him, his production?
Yeah, he's swinging it really well. He about a week into spring training, he's like, I'm ready for the season. And, he was right. He was ready, and he is ready. He's come out on fire, and, similar to the guy that we saw at the end of the season, a catalyst in our lineup. And he's hitting a little lower than what he was last year, but we've got a deep lineup, and I feel really good about having him in the lineup and getting a bunch of hits for us.
Going into this week, there were several players who were excited for you to get your first win. Just what does that mean to you in light of getting it today?
Yeah, it's exciting to win a baseball game. We can't take winning a Major League Baseball game for granted, no matter when it is or how it comes. And, I know this is a player's game. It's not about the manager. Those guys are the guys out there playing and performing and doing well. And, they performed great tonight. I get to say that I got my first win as a manager, but we got our first win as the Padres this 2026 season. No, there's no celebration whatsoever. Pretty docile in there.
So what do you think of the whole ABS system so far? Do you like it as a good addition to the game?
Yeah, I think you can see we saw some momentum changes over the last few days with the ABS that got the crowd excited and, maybe turn momentum for a pitcher or a hitter. Jake's one tonight was a really big call. It was a strikeout, and then it, could have turned into a base hit and an RBI. Didn't end up doing that, but, things like that could happen. The previous night, there was could have been a walk, challenge it, became a strike, and the next pitch was strike 3. So, and even tonight in the 9th inning with Mason Miller, that backdoor slider that caught the edge was a big pitch for us. So overall, very positive. I'm kind of more of like the old school way of doing things and just play baseball. But I think these new things, get the younger fans, the younger generation excited about our sport. And I think that's a good thing.
Plus it sort of eliminates all the tension between the umpire, the pitcher, the catcher, the manager over missed calls.
Yeah, you're right. I can't yell at the umpires anymore. That's unfortunate.
You can get rejected for challenging it. Yes, can you?
Yeah. I just got to be nice to him.
Did Gavin not challenge the late strike 3 call? Looked outside because you guys were down to 1 challenge at that point.
I don't know exactly. Maybe he thought that pitch was a strike. We have certain parameters that we're talking about in the dugout, certain times in the game based on the score situation and things like that. The way we looked at it, that was a positive thing of him not challenging it.
I just wondered, going back to Darvish and Vasquez, you've talked about it quite a bit, but what do you think? Where did that relationship kind of start, especially the mentorship over the past year or so?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not exactly where that started. I talking to AJ Preller, he knows you very well. And he said, you has always been attracted to, people like Randy that, maybe, from a different area of the world, than United States or Japan, but, somebody that he feels is younger and that he can mentor and, pass on some of his knowledge. And so, we're thankful that Darvish has been a part of our organization for such a long time. And we're thankful that he's still a part of us. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some, I say I speak Spanish sometimes, but it ain't worth a darn.
No, but I think he actually fluently speaks Spanish.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He's one of the smartest guys I know.
The at-bats overall tonight, right? I know there was a different approach against the first 2 guys, those guys.
Yeah.
But the at-bats overall, and in particular, a couple of them in the 3rd inning, what did you think of quality tonight?
Yeah, we hit a lot of balls really hard tonight. Balls that got caught. There was a lot of balls we hit hard this entire series. I think Xander hit, several balls over 100 miles an hour, exit velo, and got nothing out of it. So we keep taking at bats like that. We told our team, after the first 2 games, we keep taking at bats, keep sticking to that play, and eventually, it's going to break through. And even tonight, we only scored 3 runs, but the at bat quality was really, really positive. And I think, having at bats against 3 good pitchers like we faced and a good bullpen, that's only going to help us going forward.
Craig, one more about Vasquez and kind of pitching in general. How do you find and build velocity as a pitcher? Because everyone wants to find some. Randy picked up 2 miles an hour in one offseason. How do you do that from a biomechanical standpoint?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is just get in really good shape. I think that's what Randy decided to do. Kind of when he got the spring training last year, his velocity was down a little bit, and we put together a strength and conditioning program, that got him in the best shape he could possibly get in. And then, maybe a few mechanics tweaks. A lot of guys are throwing weighted balls nowadays, weighted ball program that's specific to him. And then, but I think the number one thing is just getting in really good shape and being intentional about, being at your best. And when you're at your best physically, that's when the best output's going to come. We knew that velocity was in there. It's just how can we get that out of him, in the safest way possible. And the safest way possible is just eating healthy, training healthy, and being in really good shape. It sounds very simple, but, the best players are in great shape.
We saw 3 very different lineups in this first series. Do you expect to settle on a more consistent lineup any soon?
Yeah, I think, we faced 2 lefties. The first 2 days we faced a righty. The third day, those will be a little bit more consistent. I think Crony's going to be leading off against right-handed pitching pretty often. Left-handed pitching, that's still for debate. We got Toddy leading off, and then, once you get the leadoff hitter, then everything else kind of settles in. So we'll see, going forward how we feel with Toddy leading off against lefties. He led off for Team Dominican Republic in the World Baseball Classic, and they did amazing. He's led off for us the last few seasons, so it's hard not to have him in that leadoff spot, but you never know. We might try something different.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 3-0 win for the Padres against the Tigers. Craig Stammen's first managerial win in his managerial career. What else, right? Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Craig Stammen, manager of the Padres. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Let's touch on Randy Vasquez before we go to break here and continue to break down each and every aspect of this game. We will take a couple of phone calls later at 833-288-0973. Phone number is always 833-288-0973. Randy Vasquez, no doubt, was the story here tonight. 6 scoreless innings. We talked about it. You heard Craig talk plenty about him there. And, you may have never heard those thoughts there about the relationship between Randy and Darvish and the kind of impact that Darvish has had on Randy Vasquez. I think it's been an awesome relationship. And, Randy continues to take steps forward. Yes, it's one start of a season, but he picked up tonight right where he left off in 2025. And I think one thing that's so encouraging about Randy is this. Randy averaged, and his velocity went up as the year went on last year. But Randy averaged, if you just want to zoom out, 93.3 miles per hour with his fastball last season. That velo was up to an average of 95.6 this spring. So Randy throwing harder towards the end of the year, that continued into this spring training. And then you look up here tonight, Randy was averaging 95 miles an hour with that fastball. So we said during the pregame, hey, you do wonder a little bit, not really wonder, because why wouldn't he be throwing the same velocity as he was in spring? But you wanted to just make sure that velocity uptick remained true into the regular season. And I'm happy to report it did tonight. He averaged 95 with that fastball. So that's part of it for Randy, why he's having more success more consistently. He's throwing harder. I think he's learning himself. I think he's learning how to pitch, all these things. And Randy Vasquez was really, really good once again here tonight. 6 scoreless innings to begin his season. Really couldn't have drawn it up any better. When we come back, we'll point out one guy out of the bullpen who was stellar tonight as well. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Might take some of your phone calls as well. Final score here tonight, Padres 3 and the Tigers 0. This is the Padres Radio Network.
You've waited all year for baseball, and it's finally here.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Final score here tonight, Padres 3 and the Tigers 0. We'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard in just a little bit. We'll also give you a quick preview of Monday's game against the San Francisco Giants, who will come in for the second series of the year. Remember, Padres have an off day tomorrow, and then they're back at it to play the second half of this homestand Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday against the Giants as they come to town for the first time this season. There really were a couple of standout performers from the Padres bullpen here tonight, but let's tell you about one of them in particular.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's Relief Pitcher of the Game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Kyle Hart delivers, and a liner into right field. Fernando charging in, slides forward, and he makes the catch to end a 1-2-3 inning. What do you know? Gonna hang a star for Fernando Tatis Jr. Time to stretch at Petco Park. And Kyle Hart, thanks to some help from Fernando in right, a 1-2-3-7.
Now, Fernando Tatis Jr., one of the great defensive plays of the evening. Padres played great defense all night. I said that early on. But Kyle Hart getting through that 1-2-3 7th inning. He would come back out for the 8th inning, 1-2-3. He faced 6 batters tonight, 2 innings, 6 outs, no hits, no walks, struck out 3. Terrific. I mean, and here's I think the cool thing tonight for Kyle Hart, this was not typical Kyle Hart time that we would see last year out of the bullpen. I mean, this was classic setup role type stuff. And Kyle's a guy who can give you multiple innings. We talked about it pregame today. This had the potential tonight to be a little bit different of a bullpen night because you looked at it. Morejon threw 2 innings last night. He wasn't going to throw today. Jeremiah Estrada threw 27 pitches last night. I don't think he was going to throw today. And Wandy Peralta has pitched in 2 games already on Thursday and Friday. He wasn't going to throw today. So you had more limited options out of the bullpen. And the Padres in a close game, it's 3-0 at that point. They go to Kyle Hart to essentially be a 2-inning setup guy tonight. And look, Kyle had a great spring. I mean, a really, really great spring. He had a 0.64 ERA in 14 innings during the course of the spring. He earned his way onto this team. And I do think, and it's something we talked about a lot if you heard my segments on Ben and Woods and on the various shows during the spring, one of the things that Kyle Hart provides is versatility. He's a guy who you can bring in a spot like tonight in kind of a setup role and get multiple innings out of him. I think it's kind of fascinating how they used Kyle Hart tonight. They said, hey, close game, go get us 6 outs on a night where we need somebody else to do it, and we don't have everybody available in the bullpen. He can do that. He can be your long man. This is a guy who, look, you need somebody to come in, eat up innings on a night where a starter is struggling. Kyle Hart can do that. And he can also start, obviously. So I think Kyle Hart, and I'll add one more thing, he can also come in and get lefties out if you have a lefty lane in a game. So I really, really like what Kyle Hart can provide. He did his job here tonight, and I think Kyle Hart could be a real valuable piece in this bullpen. I really do, and I think he can do a lot. And tonight, he was great. 6 up, 6 down in a tight game, got the ball to Mason Miller with a 3-0 lead, and Miller did the rest. So to me tonight, no doubt about it, relief pitcher of the game is Kyle Hart, and that was an absolutely stellar season debut for Kyle Hart, and also reminiscent of some of the outings we saw late last year. You'll remember there were some relief outings where Kyle was flat out dominant last year, and it looked that way tonight. So that was very, very encouraging for Kyle Hart. Speaking of Hart, let's tell you about tonight's Heart of the Order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Well, on one hand, you might look at the Heart of the Order tonight, 3, 4, 5 spots, Machado, Merrill, Bogarts, and say, offers. 0 for 2 for Manny, 0 for 4 for Merrill, 0 for 4 for Bogart. So they went a combined 0 for 10. However, Manny did walk twice. Jackson Merrill did pick up an RBI to make it 3-0 on a fielder's choice in the 5th inning. So it wasn't an unproductive 0 for the heart of the order tonight. But yes, 0 for 2 for Manny with a couple of walks. Merrill 0 for 4 with an RBI. And Bogart's flat out 0 for 4 tonight. So not a great night for the heart of the order, but hey, still won the ball game, found a way in a 3-0 win. Phone number to call, 833-288-0973 if you want to get involved. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and we'll wrap things up, preview Monday's game as well as the Padres win it 3-0 here tonight against the Tigers right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Always a hit for grilling.
Finals here today. Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 3-2 in LA. Dodgers 3-0 to begin the year. Diamondbacks 0-3. Yankees swept the Giants 3-1 with a win today in San Francisco. Braves beat the Royals 6-2 in Atlanta earlier. Brewers beat the White Sox 6-1. Astros over the Angels 11-9 in Houston. Mets got a walk-off home run in the bottom half of the 11th from Luis Robert Jr., a new New York Met, to win that game 4-2 in 11. Marlins beat the Rockies 4-3 in Miami. Reds beat the Red Sox 6-5 in Cincinnati in 11. Final in 10 in Philadelphia. A lot of extra inning games tonight. Rangers 5, Phillies 4 in Philadelphia. Twins beat the Orioles 4-1 in Baltimore. The Blue Jays beat the A's 8-7 in Toronto. In 11, the Cubs beat the Nationals 10-2 in Chicago. Cardinals beat the Rays 6-5 in St. Louis. In 10 innings, a walk-off 2-run base hit for the rookie J.J. Weatherholt today for the Cardinals, who are now 2-0. And one game still going on, the Guardians and the Mariners in Seattle. Guardians 3, Mariners 2 in the 8th inning in Seattle. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Saturday. Final score in San Diego tonight, Padres 3, Tigers 0. Let's hear tonight's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Hell Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
Pitch on the way. Fernando reaches for it, lines it into right field and a base hit. Fermin is being waved around third. He's on his way. The throw comes into short and an RBI single for Fernando Tatis Jr. 3 straight 2-out hits, and the Padres lead it 1-0.
Fernando Tatis Jr. providing the first run of the game, the RBI base hit in the 3rd inning, put the Padres ahead 1-0. They would get 2 runs in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th inning. And that was all they needed here tonight because the pitching and the defense was so darn good. So that Fernando Tatis Jr. RBI single to get the scoring started tonight. Tonight's play of the game. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool is open. Day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Taking a look ahead to Monday. Remember, the Padres, very weird. It's very weird. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of San Diegans that wake up tomorrow and are expecting Padre baseball that have not examined the schedule very carefully. And I'm sorry to tell you, there's no Padre baseball tomorrow. We have a Sunday off tomorrow. How about that? A Sunday off. And the Padres return to action on Monday evening, game 1 of a 3-game series against the San Francisco Giants. First pitch at 6:40 on Monday night here at Petco Park. Starting pitching matchup for game 1 of that 3-game series against the Giants. On the mound for the Giants, right-hander Landon Roop. And for the Padres, it'll be right-hander Walker Buehler making his Padres debut. So first game of that 3-game series on Monday. And again, off tomorrow. No Padres baseball tomorrow. I'm sure the players and the broadcasters will enjoy a very, 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 very rare Sunday off. But yes, this is kind of weird first Sunday of the baseball season to not have Padres baseball. But hey, how to make the schedule, that's the way it is. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight as the Padres pick up their first win of 2026. For the Padres, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left on 8. For the Tigers, no runs, 2 hits, 1 error. They left on 6. Winning pitcher tonight, Randy Vasquez. He was terrific. 6 shutout innings. He improves to 1-0. Losing pitcher, Jack Flaherty, who drops to 0-1. And the save goes to Mason Miller, his first save of 2026. Time of game here tonight, 2 hours, 35 minutes, and the crowd here at Petco Park, wouldn't you know it, first series of the year, first 3 games, all sellouts. 44,368 in the building, the third sellout of 2026. Once again, first pitch on Monday at 6:40. Our pregame coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Kyle Ovenshire, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from Petco Park. Again, the final score here tonight, the San Diego Padres 3 and the Detroit Tigers 0. We'll talk to you on Monday right here on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. For the best coverage of the